This is my response to BlackPatriot on your gangs during WROL scenarios. I kind of agree with you, but there's some other things that I think you've overlooked. So let me be real direct about this. The thing you overlooked is that gang members do train with their guns. Criminals do train with their guns. They don't do it in the form of tactical training. They do it every time they shoot someone. They practice shooting on occasions. And I mean, look, think about it. You're going to tell me that a guy who can't afford, 3 cars, 2 different apartments in the middle of the fucking ghetto, one to live out of, one to deal out of, and you're gonna tell me that this guy can't afford bullets? Nah. Maybe like the low end little wannabes, the little people prospecting to be in the gang, can't do it. The little foot soldiers can't do it, but the higher ups can. And I've met a guy over Survival Forum. We met up here in McDonald's just about a year ago, and we got to talking, and he wanted to know who I was associated with and who I was affiliated with, and uh, we got the throwing down some information, and he let it slip that he was a blood. Does he actively go out here and sell drugs and all this other stuff? No, but he runs a safe house for the Bloods, and I won't even get into that. But the fact that this guy was prior military, that one of the things he did at his safe house was to take younger members of the group who had proven their willingness to be violent but didn't have the tactics or anything else, was to teach them the tactics and some of the basic tactics and stuff like that, and how to enter a room and how to clear a room and things of that nature. And even though, him being a felon, he couldn't own a firearm legally, that doesn't prevent him from owning a firearm illegally. So I'm not quite sure what all the level of training and stuff there was. We got on the whole topic of teaching people and training and stuff like that when I mentioned I taught martial arts. And see, this kind of opened my eyes up to a few things. This thing where they talk about the gang threat in the military. Well, fine. Yeah, that's true. But poor people have always gone toward the military. One of the reasons initially that gang membership was used as a way of barring people from the military was because originally gangs were set up as, for lack of a better term, neighborhood watch. Their job was to protect their neighborhood from crime. Uh, so in order to fund having to have the weapons needed and everything else. Usually they just resulted to baseball bats and melee weapons, but then when people started pulling out guns, then the other guys needed guns, and there became that escalation of violence. And what happened was that in order to escalate the violence, they had to resort to criminal activity. Resulting in criminal activity has now resulted in the focus of many gangs being criminal activity. Armed robberies, drugs, stuff like that. And here's the thing. So to say that these guys don't have tactics, don't have training, they do. They might not have the same training as someone who can afford to go to the range at least once a month or twice a month, but they do have some basic semblance of tactics and training. And this is kind of one of those things that I think you're overlooking. Now, as far as the police force, I can disagree with you in some aspects of that. There are a lot of good cops out there. I've dealt with them working through martial arts and stuff. I've helped to train a few of them in close quarters, combative, especially with firearms, stuff like that. But here's the problem. You always stuck with those douchebag assholes who think because they have a badge and a gun that they are Dirty Harry, or they want to go be a cowboy, or they watch way too many fucking episodes of Justified to go out here and try and act like they're this cowboy badass bullshit. And these are the guys who cause a lot of the problems. These are the guys who harass people, who use excessive force. These are the people who violate your civil rights on a regular basis simply because they have the authority to do so, and they can charge you with a crime just to justify whooping your ass. And, here's the thing about it. People learn by association. One of the reasons that racism is so bad in prisons is because when everyone's dressed the same, the only thing you can go by is the color of their skin or how a person appears. So a person of the of one ethnic group always will target someone else of another ethnic group. The police officers are stuck wearing a uniform, and that uniform puts the good in with the bad, which means that a lot of good guys are probably going to end up dead, or their families are going to end up being targets simply because of these asshole douchebags out there. Uh, as far as tactics and training and shit, yeah, that could be a problem. That could be a serious problem. But let me remind you, during Katrina, there were people who were using Blackwater, and they were using foreign mercenaries for protection because they had the money to pay for it. And these guys have a lot better training, a lot more training than the police. In fact, myself, I was prior military. I was 11 Bravo infantry. I watched the video on YouTube of the Sierras police shooting, and well, to be honest with you, man, I watched the cops go in and try to clear the building, and if an infantry fire team would have done that, we would have got the shit smoked out of us, because they went in too far apart. They gave someone time to open fire on them in the fatal funnel. They didn't post any sort of rear security. And if this guy ran in there, your best bet would have been to just let him, to stake out at the corners of the building so that everyone has full sectors of fire over the building, and call in backup. Call in a SWAT team. Tell whoever the hell is in there, if you're in there and you're innocent, come the fuck out. If this guy, is in there taking hostages, then fine. But if not, the only thing that a bunch of beat cops running in there like that are going to do is get people killed. And when they run in that far apart where they can't get the violence of action to come into the room with enough force to lay down fire to take this guy out, they're wasting time. And if he's got hostages, all they're going to do, using any sort of room clearing tactic, is get the hostages killed, because they're going to be in the line of fire. This is why SWAT teams use zip cuffs and flashbangs. This is why the military uses zip cuffs and flashbangs during urban combat, because you go into a room, you take everyone, good guys and bad guys, put them in zip ties, take them out, and then decide who's the good guy, who's the bad guy later. You make sure that, just in case there's somebody in there who's acting as a sleeper, who's pretending to be a hostage, that this person can't suddenly turn around and stab you in the back, so you zip tie them and put them down. And the flashbang stuns everyone. The problem is that, like I said, I think you're undercarrying the threat of gangs, or the fact that gangs actually train to do criminal activity, that gangs actually have paramilitary training, that gangs are adopting and getting more stronger. They're developing more like cartels, and a lot of cartels draw from military backgrounds. A lot of gangs that have come over here from foreign countries, from Argentina, from South America, that have come over here as refugees from war zones in South America, and illegally crossed into Mexico and came right up into the U.S. A lot of them are bringing military tactics and military training with them. And that's an issue in places like Texas and Southern California and parts of Louisiana. And, I don't think it's going to be an issue of one gang being stronger than the other. I think it's going to be a bunch of opposing forces fighting over whatever they can take. And the smart ones won't be fighting over it. They'll be having their alliances. They'll be like, look, here's an area. We'll carve it up this way. You get a piece of this. You get a piece of this. You get a piece of this. We get a piece of this. You do what you do. We do what we do. But we're going to work under a mutual. We're going to attack them mutually, and we're going to carve them up mutually. And if anybody else fucks with us, we all come to each other's defense. And like I said, a lot of gangs are forming more into terms of cartels. They've moved away from trying to maintain turf, which came from the old 60s protectionist gang mentality, to the more cartel-oriented, let's make money, get power type of organized crime mentality. And I don't necessarily think that what you're getting at really or I understand what you're saying as far as the police, but I don't really think that what you're getting at really covers the full spectrum